Chosen one, anchor your spirit to every word I'm about to say right now. That restlessness you've been carrying, the one that feels like waiting without knowing what you're waiting for, I need you to silence everything else and listen, because something just completed inside of you, and the enemy knows it before you do. The darkness has been pressing hard this week for one reason, and one reason only. It watched you finish something it could not stop, and now it is terrified of what comes next. It all shifts now. The lack, the loneliness, the feeling of being spiritually stalled. But here is what you need to understand. This shift is not arriving because of luck or chance. It is arriving because of what you have endured, what you have chosen, and what you refuse to abandon, even when everything in you wanted to walk away. Think back to that moment this week, or maybe it was last week, when you felt the old version of you trying to speak. Maybe it was a thought pattern that used to own you. Maybe it was a person who used to have access to your peace. Maybe it was a version of your own voice telling you that you were not enough, not ready, not worthy of the life you have been shown in your spirit. And instead of agreeing with it, something in you went quiet. Not defeated, quiet, settled. Like a courtroom the moment before a verdict is read. You did not know it then, but that was the completion. That was the soul lesson closing. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Most High did. This is a divine appointment that was written before the foundations of the earth were laid. You are not stumbling onto this. You are arriving at it. There is a difference. Stumbling is chaos. Arriving is destiny. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through exactly what it means to complete a major soul lesson and why that completion is the specific spiritual event that unlocks the next level. I am going to name the exact lie the enemy has been whispering to keep you from receiving what has already been assigned to your name. And at the end, I'm going to give you a declaration, a decree, that seals this transition and opens the door to the wealth and the love that heaven has been holding in escrow, waiting for this precise moment. Do not leave. Your future self is on the other side of this message. If you click away now, you walk away from the verdict right before it is read aloud. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere has been strange. Not loud, strange. Like standing in a hallway between two rooms, one door behind you already closed, one door ahead of you not yet open. Maybe you woke up at 3 in the morning this week with an inexplicable sense of finality, like something ended in the night and you could not name what it was. Or maybe you found yourself sitting in complete stillness. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels like the moment before a storm breaks. And you noticed that certain things that used to pull you no longer could. People who used to destabilize you, thoughts that used to spiral, patterns that used to own entire seasons of your life. Something in you has shifted, and the silence around it has felt more like suspension than rest. You feel it. That is the soul lesson completing. That is the spiritual curriculum closing its final chapter on you. And in that suspended space, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. Listen to the loop playing in your mind right now. He is telling you that the reason the next level has not arrived yet is because you are still not ready. He is pointing to that moment when you reacted, that moment when you went back to the old habit. That moment when you doubted the promise, or envied someone else's breakthrough, or asked God why it was taking so long. The accuser is building a case from your most human moments and using them as evidence that you have disqualified yourself from the wealth, from the love, from the life you were shown. He is telling you that you are close, but not quite. That there is one more thing you have to fix. One more area of lack to address. One more version of yourself to become before the blessing is released. That is the lie, and I need you to hear what the scripture actually says to dismantle it. Romans 8:30 declares, "And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." Listen to the structure of that promise. Past tense. Every verb. Called, justified, glorified. This is not a process waiting on your performance. This is a verdict that was already rendered. The Most High does not withhold the next level because your humanity showed up. He designed the soul lesson knowing every moment of your resistance, every stumble, every time you sat in that hallway between who you were and who you are becoming. And he factored it all in before the promise was ever made. You did not delay the blessing. You completed the requirement for it. The heaviness you feel right now is not the weight of what you still lack. It is the weight of everything you have finally finished carrying. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not still in the lesson. You are standing at graduation. And the next level, the wealth, the love, the divine overflow that has had your name on it since before you were born, is not something you still have to earn. It is something you are about to receive. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now let that land. Because what I'm about to walk you through is not theology. It is not inspiration. It is diagnosis. This isn't about intellectual understanding of divine concepts or a fleeting surge of motivation. It's about a deep surgical examination of your spiritual operating system. We're going beneath the surface level symptoms to uncover the root cause of persistent patterns. And the first thing that needs to be diagnosed is why, even in this moment, even after everything you just heard, after feeling that tremor of recognition deep within your soul, part of you is still bracing, still waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's that familiar, almost involuntary tightening in your spirit, a whisper that says, "This feels good, but for how long? What's the catch? When will the inevitable disappointment arrive?" This isn't just a fleeting thought. It's a deeply programmed reflex. That reflex, that instinct to brace, is not weakness. It is not a flaw in your character or a deficit in your faith. On the contrary, it is the residue of a cycle that has been running in you for longer than you may realize. It's like an old alarm system that keeps sounding even after the threat has passed. A phantom limb ache in your spiritual body. A cycle, mind you, that was never truly yours to begin with, but rather inherited, imprinted, or inadvertently adopted. Because here is what most people never get told, what remains a hidden truth. The soul lesson you just completed was not primarily designed to teach you something new, to add another layer of information or skill. No, its profound purpose was far more radical. It was designed to undo something old, to meticulously unravel deeply embedded patterns of perception, belief, and self-identity. And the thing it was undoing, this ancient architecture of how you saw yourself, how you understood your place in the divine narrative, was so deeply woven into your spiritual DNA that the process of its undoing felt, at times, like nothing short of utter destruction. It felt like your very essence was being torn apart. There were seasons in that lesson where you looked at the rubble around you, the debris of broken expectations, fractured relationships, shattered illusions, and genuinely could not tell the difference between the enemy tearing something down with malicious intent and God clearing something out with divine purpose. You wrestled with a profound, aching confusion, a spiritual disorientation that left you questioning everything: your path, your faith, even your sanity. Was this an attack? Was this a punishment? Was I losing ground? And that very confusion, that deep-seated disorientation, was not a sign that you were losing. It was not evidence of your failure or a signal that you were off course. Instead, it was the irrefutable evidence that something truly real, something fundamentally foundational, was indeed being dismantled within you. Consider this profound truth. Counterfeits do not resist removal. They are superficial, easily discarded, like a thin veneer of paint. Only genuine foundations, deeply laid and deeply rooted, resist removal. And God, the master architect of your soul, does not remove foundations carelessly or for sport. He removes them with meticulous precision and divine intention when he is in the process of replacing them with something immeasurably stronger, something profoundly stable, a bedrock that can truly hold the immense weight of the divine assignment and glorious inheritance that is coming. Just as a wise builder demolishes a compromised structure to erect a skyscraper, so too does heaven clear space for the monumental next phase of your destiny. Think of the moment God told Abraham not merely to relocate, but to leave everything he had ever known, everything that defined his past, everything that anchored his identity. Not to leave the bad things, not to leave the painful things, but to leave the comfortable, the customary, the familiar things. The land of his fathers, a place of ancestral belonging, the house of his kindship, the very fabric of his social and familial structure, the people who represented his entire identity up to that point, the mirrors reflecting who he believed himself to be. God said, "Go," and in an act of profound trust-building, he deliberately did not tell him where. He gave no map, no coordinates, no destination. He simply commanded movement. Because Abraham's next level, his divine elevation, was not a destination to be navigated with human logic or strategic planning. It was a relationship to be trusted, an intimacy to be deepened, a reliance on an unseen hand. It was an invitation into radical dependence. And the moment Abraham moved without the map, taking that terrifying step into the unknown purely on the strength of God's voice, that was the completion. That was the soul lesson closing, the old season culminating in an act of absolute, audacious faith. You have been walking your own deeply personal version of that same profound departure. Perhaps it wasn't a geographical move, but a relinquishing of old identities, old dreams, old securities, old friendships that no longer served your highest calling. It was a stripping away of the familiar, a letting go of comfort zones that had become spiritual cages. And what I need you to understand, to internalize as a foundational truth, is that the confusion, the fear, the spiritual chaos you felt during that profound process was not a malfunction. It was not an indication that you were doing something wrong or that the divine process had gone awry. No, my friend, it was the curriculum working exactly as it was designed. The disorientation was a necessary part of detaching from the old paradigm, a sign that the transformation was deep and real. Just as a caterpillar must dissolve into a seemingly chaotic goo before it can emerge as a butterfly, your soul was undergoing a radical, beautiful, and necessary metamorphosis. But here is where it goes deeper, where the truth becomes even more nuanced and often overlooked. Because departure, that courageous act of letting go, is only half of the equation. The vital part most people miss, the part that keeps them endlessly circling in the hallway of the completed lesson, perpetually on the verge but never quite stepping through, is the moment of reception. It's entirely possible, even common, to finish the arduous lesson, to have walked through the fire and emerged, yet still not fully receive, to fully embrace what that lesson has unlocked, what it has earned for you, what it has now made available. And that gap, that almost imperceptible space between completion and reception, between the finish line and the victory lap, is precisely where the enemy does his most sophisticated, most subtle, and most insidious work. He doesn't waste energy trying to overtly take the blessing from you. He knows full well that what God has ordained, no force in hell can truly revoke. His strategy is far more cunning. He tries to convince you that you are not, in fact, standing where you are standing. He doesn't need to steal your inheritance. He simply needs to persuade you that it's still far off, that you haven't truly arrived. He creates a dense, spiritual fog over your present location, obscuring the divine reality, so that you keep desperately searching for an arrival point, a moment of confirmation, a grand signal you have already reached. This is why so many people who are genuinely chosen by heaven, genuinely prepared through profound trials, genuinely positioned for exponential breakthrough, are still living as if they are perpetually in rehearsal. They completed the requirement, passed the arduous test, but never fully crossed the threshold of acceptance in their own mind. They finished the spiritual examination with flying colors, but never truly accepted the grade, never internalized the profound truth of their elevated status and readiness. They remain in the green room, waiting for an encore, when their main performance has already begun. And what's coming next will likely surprise you, because the primary thing keeping you in that spiritual fog, that internal state of perpetual delay, is not doubt in the conventional sense, nor is it a lack of faith in God. It is something far more subtle and far more personal, something that operates beneath the radar of obvious spiritual warfare. And I am going to name it in just a moment. But first, this profound truth has to truly land in the deep places of your spirit. The enemy's primary strategy in this season, for you, is not direct opposition. He isn't trying to block what God has already released, because he knows he lacks the authority to do so. He knows that the decree has gone forth, the blessing has been unleashed. So instead, he shrewdly builds an atmosphere of delay inside your own perception. He doesn't stop the blessing, he just makes you believe it hasn't arrived yet. He makes the present, vibrant moment feel like a dusty waiting room instead of the majestic arrival hall where your inheritance awaits. He makes the profound silence, which is often a space of deep preparation and divine incubation, feel like absence, like God has forgotten you, instead of the fertile stillness before a mighty move. And he does it with diabolical precision by exploiting the one wound that nearly every chosen person carries, a deep spiritual vulnerability etched into the soul by life's trials, the wound of worthiness. I am not talking about unworthiness in the obvious, egregious sense. Not the loud, accusatory voice that screams, "You are terrible, you are broken, you are utterly beyond redemption." That kind of overt condemnation is too harsh, too jarring, too clearly from the enemy to be believed for long by a spirit awakened to truth. The wound I am talking about is far quieter, far more insidious, like a subtle poison seeping into your confidence. It sounds like a whisper of self-imposed caution, a seemingly prudent hesitation. It sounds like, maybe just a little longer, suggesting you need more time to prepare, more growth before you're truly ready. It sounds like, I want to be absolutely sure before I step forward, masking a deeper reluctance to commit. It sounds like wisdom, like discernment, like patience, all virtues, yes. But underneath it, if you press into it with radical honesty, if you peel back the layers of apparent prudence, it is fear. It is the insidious fear that if you step fully, audaciously, completely into what you have been given, into the full weight of your anointing and destiny, you will somehow inevitably find out that it was not real. that the glorious promise was somehow meant for someone else, a more deserving soul, that this profound assignment you feel stirring within you was a mistake, an oversight, or a burden you were never meant to carry. It's the fear of spiritual imposter syndrome, the dread of being exposed as unqualified for what heaven has already qualified you for. That wound of worthiness is the last, most potent weapon the enemy has left to work with against you. It is the final frontier in your battle for destiny. And let me be clear, it is not a character flaw. It is not an indication of your spiritual failing. On the contrary, it is the natural, deeply human consequence of having believed, often unknowingly, a litany of subtle lies about yourself for a very, very long time. You were told by people whose words carried undue weight, by circumstances that felt overwhelmingly definitive, by profound silences that seemed to confirm your worst fears, that you were too much or not enough, too early or too late, too broken, too flawed, too damaged to ever be trusted with something truly beautiful, something truly powerful, something truly divine. And even though your regenerated spirit has been rising, year after year, battle after battle, against those insidious lies, like a phoenix against the ashes, your nervous system still remembers the deep, lingering bruise of those past wounds. And like a tender spot that flinches reflexively, that bruise still contracts, still recoils, still whispers caution when the immense, unfiltered blessing of God gets close. It's a physiological memory of pain, reacting to the very thing that is meant to heal and elevate you. This deeply human and spiritual struggle is precisely where the story of Mephibosheth, found in 2 Samuel 9, becomes one of the most confronting and profoundly liberating passages in all of Scripture. Here was a man, crippled, a survivor of trauma, living in a desolate place called Lo-Debar, a place signifying no pasture, a place of forgottenness and barrenness. He was the grandson of King Saul, yet utterly marginalized, bearing the shame of a fallen dynasty and the physical limitation of lameness. When King David, now on the throne, called him to the palace, not as a captured enemy, not as a servant to toil, not as a prisoner to be judged, but as a permanent guest at the king's own table, to eat there continually as one of the king's sons, Mephibosheth's first, raw response was not overwhelming gratitude, but profound self-erasure. His words, dripping with ingrained self-contempt, were, "What is your servant, that you should look upon a dead dog like me?" He had already decided, irrevocably in his own mind, what he was worth. He had already assigned himself a value of utter worthlessness before the king ever even spoke a single word of his intention. And in a majestic display of divine grace and royal decree, King David had to literally override Mephibosheth's deeply entrenched self-perception with a powerful, authoritative, and non-negotiable royal decree. He had to speak a new reality over a man who was stubbornly clinging to his old, broken identity. That, my beloved friend, is precisely what heaven is doing with you right now. The King of Kings, the Ancient of Days, is calling you to his table, not to a provisional waiting list where your eligibility will be continually assessed, not to a preliminary meeting where you'll be vetted and questioned. He is calling you directly, unconditionally, to the table itself, to a seat of honor, intimacy, and provision that has been prepared for you since before the foundations of the world. And the only question that truly remains, the only decision that is truly yours to make, is whether you will walk into that banquet carrying the posture of a dead dog, clinging to the old, broken, self-deprecating narratives of your past, or if you will walk in with the dignified posture of someone who knows unequivocally that they were summoned by name, by divine right, by the King himself. This is the moment to choose between your old story and his eternal truth. Stay with me now, because what I'm about to share next is not just another insight. It is the absolute, non-negotiable part that breaks the cycle, the mechanism of liberation. It's the critical juncture, the pivot point that most people never hear because tragically they click away, they disengage, they succumb to distraction right before the very thing that was actually meant to liberate them from the chains of their past, from the revolving door of their old patterns. Listen closely. The cycle does not break because you simply try harder. It does not break because you pray more hours, fast longer periods, or strive to perform better for heaven, as if God's favor is a wage to be earned. While those spiritual disciplines undeniably have their profound and essential place in deepening your relationship with the divine, they are not fundamentally the ultimate mechanism of the cycle breaking. No, the cycle, every oppressive loop, every draining pattern, every frustrating repetition in your life truly breaks the moment you fundamentally change what you agree with. Because every cycle in your life, every persistent pattern of lack, every spiral of relational confusion, every season of spiritual stagnation, every feeling of not being enough was sustained not primarily by the enemy's overt power, but by your often unconscious, subtle yet powerful agreement with his insidious narrative about your identity, your worth, and your future. The moment you consciously, definitively, and irrevocably withdraw that agreement, that internal assent, the cycle immediately loses its legal right, its spiritual claim, its very power to continue operating in your life. It starves and begins to collapse. This is precisely what the Apostle Paul understood with a profound spiritual insight when he wrote to the church at Philippi from inside a literal, oppressive prison cell. He was not writing from a place of conventional victory, from a mountaintop experience, or from freedom. He was writing from chains, from confinement, from a situation that outwardly screamed limitation and defeat. Yet in that letter, he penned the astonishing words, "I have learned in whatever state I am to be content." That word, learned, is not merely descriptive, it is absolutely critical. It means it was not a natural disposition, it was a deliberate, arduous, and ongoing process. It means there were countless states of being, countless moments of discomfort and despair, in which contentment did not come naturally, in which his flesh cried out for release. It means Paul, day after painstaking day, sat squarely in the often agonizing gap between divine promise and visible manifestation, and had to choose every single time, in every circumstance, against every human inclination, what narrative he was going to agree with. And that repeated, unwavering choice, that daily, conscious withdrawal of agreement from the lie of his circumstances, from the enemy's whispers of defeat, was what transformed a literal Roman prison cell into a powerful pulpit for the gospel and a simple letter into inspired scripture that continues to liberate millions today. His internal agreement with truth superseded his external reality. Your repeated, often silent and unseen choice has been doing the very same thing in your own journey. Every time you chose to stay in faith, when every fiber of your being wanted to retreat and abandon ship. Every time you chose silence and sacred restraint, when your raw emotions screamed to react, to lash out, to defend your bruised ego. Every time you pressed your face to the ground, metaphorically or literally, in desperate prayer and said, "I still trust you, Lord." Even when the evidence of your senses, the logic of your situation, and the voices of the world were screaming otherwise, proclaiming your defeat. In each of those profound moments, you were actively withdrawing agreement from the cycle. You were cutting off its lifeline, starving it of the energy it needed to persist. And just as a plant deprived of water and light must wither, starved cycles have no choice but to collapse. They cannot sustain themselves without your implicit permission. Now, once you truly understand that profound truth, once it resonates not just in your mind, but in the very core of your spirit, you are truly ready for this next revelation. Because what breaks the cycle, This powerful act of withdrawing agreement does not merely free you from the oppressive weight of the past. It does something far more expansive. It actively positions you for the inheritance that has been waiting for you all along. And let's be explicitly clear about this inheritance: the abundant wealth, the deep covenantal love, the perfect divine alignment, the wide open doors of opportunity and influence. This inheritance is not a reward for your performance. It is not something you have finally earned through your suffering or your striving. No, it is a radical, comprehensive restoration of what was stolen. Every delay you experienced was not a natural occurrence, it was a targeted theft. Every broken relationship that was weaponized and used to wound your spirit, every season of crushing financial pressure that was meticulously designed to make you feel small and insignificant, every precious year that felt like it was tragically running out, slipping through your fingers, those were never punishments from a capricious God. They were insidious attempts by the enemy to rob you, to disempower you, to deplete you, before you could receive the magnificent outpouring of what was already, by divine decree, rightfully yours. But our God is not merely a God of justice or recompense. He is, supremely, a God of restoration. And what the Scripture says about this restoration is not modest, not incremental, but absolutely extravagant and miraculous. Joel 2:25, a powerful prophetic promise, declares that he will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the hopping locust, the destroyer, and the cutting locust. Not compensate for them, not simply replace what was lost with something equivalent. No, the Scripture says he will unequivocally restore them. That means the very timeline of your life bends to his will. That means the multiplication is not linear, it defies natural progression. It means what took years, perhaps even decades, for the enemy to strip away, to consume, to destroy, can be returned in a single supernatural moment. And with interest, with an added measure of divine abundance that utterly defies the limited mathematics and logical equations of the natural world. It's exponential grace, accelerated recovery, a quantum leap in your destiny. You are not, therefore, playing catch-up in some cosmic race you've fallen behind in. You are not scrambling to recover lost ground. Instead, you are now strategically positioned to receive a restoration that accounts for, fully and completely, everything the enemy stole from you. Every tear, every setback, every lost opportunity is now being factored into a divine equation of recompense. And the vehicle for that profound restoration is not striving. It is not more frantic effort, more desperate grasping, more exhausting self-reliance. No, the vehicle for this supernatural restoration is positioning. It is deliberately, consciously and faithfully standing in the precise place the Most High is pointing you toward, the place He has already prepared for you, and absolutely refusing, with every fiber of your being, with unwavering resolve, to talk yourself out of it. It's refusing to let that old wound of worthiness or the enemy's whispers of delay keep you from occupying your rightful territory. And yet, there is one more layer, a deeper truth, that almost no one truly wants to look at, because it touches a raw, vulnerable nerve. Because sometimes the profound reason we subtly refuse to fully occupy that divinely appointed position, the reason we hesitate at the threshold of our inheritance, is not solely due to the enemy's insidious whisper or the lingering bruise of past wounds. It is, perhaps more painfully, our own deeply ingrained loyalty to a lesser, smaller, more comfortable version of our story. Think about it. There are people who have held that limited, smaller version of you in their hearts, in their homes, in their shared history with you. They have known you in a certain way, related to you based on your past identity, your previous struggles, your former limitations, and stepping fully, authentically, courageously into your next level into the magnificent expanded version of yourself that God is calling forth, inevitably means that they will no longer recognize you. And the grief of that, the profound sense of loss of being known, being understood, in the familiar way you have always been known, can be a heavy, unspoken burden. This internal reluctance can cleverly masquerade as genuine humility. It can look like not wanting to change, not wanting to rock the boat, not wanting to inconvenience others. It can even feel like honoring where you came from, like a noble respect for your roots and your past relationships. But if you are willing to be honest with yourself, truly, unflinchingly honest, looking beyond the palatable excuses, you know deep down that some of what you are protecting, some of what you are clinging to, is not genuine relationship. It is permission. It is the deep-seated human need for external validation. You have been waiting, consciously or unconsciously, for people who were never meant to be your ultimate validators to finally see what God has already, unequivocally confirmed in the quiet chambers of your spirit. You have been holding the door of your next season, your divine new beginning, slightly, hesitantly closed, hoping that when the right people finally believe in you, finally acknowledge your calling, finally give you their blessing, you will finally feel truly free, truly justified, truly worthy to walk through it. It's a self-imposed spiritual pause button, dependent on human approval. And here then is the ultimate confrontation, the piercing truth that cuts through all the layers of self-deception and external dependency. Their belief, their validation, their permission was never, ever the key. It was never the requirement. The divine door to your destiny does not open because they finally see you, finally understand you, or finally give you their stamp of approval. No, the door opens irrevocably, powerfully, because you stop waiting for them to see you. You sever that cord of dependency, and you bravely, resolutely walk forward on the singular, unwavering word that was given to you alone. In the dark, in the profound silence, in those private, intimate moments when no one else was watching, and heaven itself was the only witness to your raw faithfulness. This is where the transformation truly completes itself, not in the crowded arena of human applause, not in the echo chamber of external validation, but in the private, profound surrender of the very need for it, trading human approval for divine affirmation. And here is the thing you did not expect, the breathtaking revelation that reshapes, recontextualizes, and illuminates everything that came before it. The very life you have been asking God for, the blessings you have been praying for, the breakthroughs you have been yearning to experience. That elevated existence is not the ultimate destination of your journey. It is not the final prize. It is instead the divinely ordained environment your assignment requires. The wealth you desire is not the reward for your struggles. It is the vital resource required to fulfill the expansive vision God has placed in your heart, to fund kingdom work, to impact nations. The deep, covenantal love you crave is not merely the prize for enduring loneliness. It is the foundational covenant that securely carries your immense calling, providing the stability and fuel you need to operate without fear of abandonment. Heaven has not been withholding the blessing because you had to earn it through suffering or striving. Heaven has been patiently, lovingly waiting for the version of you that could truly steward it. Steward the wealth, the love, the authority, without ever making it the ultimate point, without letting the gift overshadow the giver, without letting the blessing become an idol. And that version, the one who can hold immense abundance without being defined by it, without allowing it to corrupt or distract. The one who can receive profound, unconditional love without becoming dependent on it for their identity or worth. The one who can walk in unprecedented authority and influence without becoming intoxicated by it, remaining humble and submitted to the King of Kings. That, my friend, is the version of you that just completed the soul lesson. That is you, right now, in this very moment. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release every agreement I have made with the lie that I am still waiting to become enough. I break every cycle that was sustained by my own permission. I withdraw my loyalty from every lesser version of my story. I receive the restoration that heaven has been holding in my name, the wealth, the love, the alignment, the open doors, and I receive it not as a reward for my performance, but as the inheritance of a completed season. I will not talk myself out of where God has positioned me. I will not wait for human validation to walk through divine doors. I step forward now, not when I feel ready, not when the circumstances confirm it, not when the people around me finally see it, but now, because the King has called me to the table, and I will not dishonor the summons by arriving as anything less than who He called me. I am chosen. I am finished with the lesson. I am walking into the next level, and it begins today. If this message confirmed something your spirit already knew, go to the first pinned comment right now. What is waiting for you there will carry this revelation further than any single message can. Do not scroll past it. It was placed there for you.